To all the panel, we have the wonderful Liliana Rose, Deb'n'Aire, and Karen Carlisle, and I will just ask them to very, very briefly tell you their most preferred book that they have written. So if we can start with Deb'n'Aire, I put you on the spot, but yes. Your favourite book that you have written or are most proud of?
I would have to mention my most recent printed children's book, which is called Nosebleed. And it's about a boy who might or might not be experiencing an alien invasion and becomes convinced that his teacher is talking to him or other aliens in nose code, because he notices the teacher's just doing this every now and again. He's writing it down and creating his nose code. But there's an amazing twist in the book. About 3/4 of the way through, his friend turns up at his house and he says, "Nathan, this is amazing. I found this computer disk in my letterbox today. You've written an entire book about what happened." And so I break the fourth wall and I leave the reader thinking, I'm now reading the book that Nathan wrote and left in his friend's letterbox. Was there really an alien invasion? So I'm messing with the minds of my readers, and I love doing that. You want to read this one?
Lovely, thank you. And we just need to ask you to speak into the mic, because unfortunately the technology, it's only human, even though it's technology. It is not steam powered. We did not bring our steam. Okay, and Liliana Rose, now you write children's novels and young adult novels and romances for adults. What is your preferred work that you have written?
I have enjoyed everything that I write. So my adult work is under Liliana Rose, though I have got The Waking of Ghosts here, which is young adult, and I do write adult under Liliana Rose. But to make the difference clearer for the younger readers, I write under Lily Rose. And my favourite has been The Jumble Sale, which is this book here, and it is a world that I've created with misfit monsters in it. So the main character is called Zadie, and she is part fairy, part zombie with a little bit of robot. And all the misfit monsters are made up of different parts of mythical creatures, and they have a little village and they're trying to survive in a world that's very polluted, and they do that by hunting in the rubbish tip of humans. So the themes are about recycling and upcycling, and also about working in a community and accepting each other for their differences.
Thank you. All very important things for young adults, or indeed anyone, I think. And Karen Carlisle, you have written so far many books, but 2 specific series, 3 specific series, 4 specific series. I need to check my script.
One's just started.
Doing heavy raves on 4s.
Okay.
20 more maybe.
So could you give us a brief rundown of your different series and their main character?
Okay, right. Well, first of all, I've got The Adventures of Viola Stewart, which, that one, there you go. And Viola is a woman in the 19th century, and she wanted to be a doctor but wasn't allowed to be, so she ended up becoming an optician. There's a very cathartic series, this one. There's stuff that happens in there that, yeah, anyway, I was dealing with a lot of stuff. It's darker, it's sort of more gaslight. It's Victorian steampunk mystery. A lot of mine end up being mysteries. And actually I'm doing a book bundle on 3 of those this weekend. Plug there. And then there's Department Curiosities. I'm currently writing the second book in that one there, and it's basically a steampunk adventure with a heroine, let me get this right now, it's been ages since I've done this, a heroine, mad scientist, traitors and secrets, all for the good of the Empire. So, and it ends up being in Australia in the end. So the second book is mostly set in Australia. And probably my favourite book is Aunt Enid. It's actually not stupid. It's a cosy mystery with a fantasy twist. It's set in Adelaide, and Great Aunt Enid is a lady of a certain age, and she's modelled after my own Great Aunt Enid and my grandmother. And basically, the darkness is coming from the other worlds to come and get Adelaide, because, you know, there's a joke about Adelaide being a hellhole, which is not. I love Adelaide, but I thought it is. It's where everything comes through, and basically there's 3 protectors to stop it all coming through. And so basically, so a little old lady is stopping all the horrible things coming and saving the world, and it has garden gnomes that may or may not come to life.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Now, a question for all 3, and feel free to take a minute, take a sip of tea before answering. The question is there a writer that really made you want to write? And while you have a quick think, I want to quickly say a big thank you to the wonderful Anne, our sign interpreter today. Everyone, please give Anne a very large round of applause. Thank you. So the question, is there a writer who made you want to write? Who would like to go? Oh, Ged, you volunteered yourself. Is there a writer?
In terms of writers, no. I spent the first 30 years of my life never once having the idea in my head that I might be a writer, that was an option, a career chance. But I do have to acknowledge my first wife, Shaquelle Maybury. Just a note, I need to point out that I adopted her surname from her, not the other way around. Shaquelle was a theatre woman. I met her on the main street of Dunedin. At that time she was a play school presenter. I married a play school presenter. Ooh! And she dragged me into the world of theatre, and that started me writing children's stage plays. And that led me to writing children's science fiction books, which led me here today with my steampunk series. So a big thanks to Shaquelle Maybury for starting me.
Wonderful. And Karen?
Okay, well, I must admit, ever since I was a kid, I would write stories. It was actually Doctor Who stories. But I also love Lord of the Rings and Jim Butcher and, oh gosh, too many authors. Agatha Christie, no Marsh. So I was always a big science fiction, fantasy and murder mystery fan. And I didn't do writing. Over the years I've done some writing for a now defunct Australian role-playing magazine back in the 90s, and for a comic book that was a local one back in the 90s. But I went back to it all after a major thing that happened in my life, and as I said before, it's a cathartic thing it started off as. But I really I wanted to write, I always wanted to be a writer, and when they say flying job this, I thought I want to be a writer, but I didn't think I could do it until I read Gail Carriger's books. I don't know if anyone knows them, they're steampunk books, and I read the first one. I thought, she's got a sense of humour like me, I can do this. So that's probably that. And my friend Sue, who now lives in Pennsylvania, I think, she told me I had to write, otherwise she'd get me. So that's how I started writing.
Thank you so much. And Liliana?
So the way I think about it, it's more the books that influenced me when I was reading as a child that inspired me to want to write. So books like Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which I love, and it's a huge level of fantasy. As I got not too older, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, so I got introduced to steampunk very early. I even liked King Solomon's Mines, which is very different, right? but it had a broad range. And I also enjoyed some of the Australian greats from May Gibbs with the Gungnut Babies and Blinky Bill. And all of those types of stories fed into my imagination and have come out into the books that I write, because they're the sort of books I'd love to have read when I was young. And young at heart, so I love to read now.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, final question for today. Any tips for someone who would like to be a writer or has stories that want to come out?
Write them.
Just write them? Yep.
Have I got 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Somebody who has a story but wants to be a writer, try. Think outside the square. Think about doing it as a video or a stage play or a radio play. Do it in the most condensed form that you can, and then once you've ironed out all the story problems, start turning it into a book. That's my opinion. I've had extraordinary results from converting a book into a film script, a screenplay. As I wrote the screenplay, I got all the ideas I needed to fix the book. So doing some exercises that are taking you outside of the normal world of just banging words into the typewriter day after day could really help. That's my suggestion.
Wonderful. And Karen?
If you've got ideas, let them come. Write them down, even if they're bad. Sir Terry Pratchett, people probably know Discworld series, had a quote, and the first draft is just you telling yourself the story. His first drafts are always horrible. We look at them and we go, oh! I refer to my first drafts as vomit on the page. And people look at it and they go, oh! But find one person who's like your champion, and show, if you're going to show anyone, show it to someone you trust. But also, when you're writing, don't write for everyone. Write for one person, whether that's you, whether it's your best friend, whatever. And I don't know about you, but if I don't get these things out of my head, they plague me at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's just a matter of writing and just doing it. And yeah, even if you don't show anyone, that's fine. Just get it out of your head.
Thank you. And Liliana?
Similar to what everyone else has said, it is a very long journey as well to write, and the biggest thing that you can do is to get started writing, and you've got to look at honing your craft and knowing the market as well. But within that, once you've worked out what that is, what the market is and your style of writing, you might be finding you're breaking some of the rules, which is okay, but at least you're aware of that. And you're writing from your heart and your soul.
I'd also say don't write to market, write what you want to write, because often when they say, oh, vampires are in, it can take a year or two or more for some people to write books. Some people say they write books in a month. Well, that's not the average. And if you're going, I'm going to write vampires because they're popular, if your heart's not in it, it can tell. And 2 years down the track when you're finished, they may not be in vogue anyway, so write what you want to write.
And an extra little tip, if anyone here does have a story that they're wanting to get on the page, you could always take a walk past Stone Table Books and have a chat to Ben. Ben, if you'd give us a wave. They are a publishing company, they help writers, and they can help you write as well if you are interested. Thank you. Also, if they want to be an indie author, there's a couple of indie authors who can tell you stuff as well. Absolutely. Now, thank you so much to our wonderful authors today. We have Liana at a table. You can come and chat to her and have a look at her books. Karen's table is over there. You can also come and chat to her and read her books. And very shortly at 1 p.m, Karen will also be doing a workshop talk, to A Foot in Both Worlds. And then you can come and visit Ged over here and stick around for 6 p.m, when Ged's play will be on stage. You do not want to miss it. I heard the rehearsals. I can't tell you anything about it, but it is a not to miss. thank you very much to our wonderful authors and to Anne.
And if you've got any questions, feel free to come down to any of us.